How to Explain Climate Science to a Grown-Up is another in the How to Explain Science to a Grown-Up series of picture books. The book speaks directly to kids, explaining the issue in easy-to-understand language and offering action items to help create positive change. Hi, I'm Dan Skinner, and welcome to the Kids Bookshelf. Ruth Spiro writes innovative children's books about science, technology, and math, including the Made by Maxine series and the best-selling Baby Loves Science series. She joins us to talk about how to explain climate science to a grown-up. Ruth, welcome to the Kids Bookshelf.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Well, this is part of a series of books into how to explain science to grown-ups. So tell us about the origin of that series.
So the actual origin is with the Baby Loves Science board book series. And Baby Loves Meteorology is the 25th title in that series that is just about to come out. And the series started in 2016. And when my editor and I realized that the readers, or as I like to call them, the little listeners of these board books were getting a little bit older and aging out of the board book genre, we started to talk about aging up the board books into a picture book series. And so she wanted me to write a picture book series with additional information, expanding on some of the favorite titles from the board book series. And that is where the idea for the picture book series came from. But it took me a while until I committed and said, yes, I will do this, because I didn't want to just write straight nonfiction picture books about topics like robotics and coding and climate science, because there are already so many excellent nonfiction books that are out there. And I didn't think that I would be able to do it justice because there are so many great ones out there. So I wanted to take a little twist and do it a little bit differently and write it in, so it felt like a fiction book more, but it still had that information in there about the particular topic. And so that's where the idea came from. I wanted to do it a little bit differently, and it took me a while, but then I finally came up with the idea of kind of breaking the fourth wall and having the book itself be a character in the story, and having the child turn the tables and be the one who is explaining the topic to their grown-up.
So as you pointed out, there's a role reversal going on here. Instead of the adult explaining things and reassuring the child is explaining things and reassuring the adult that, things will be okay and here's what we need to do. So what made you want to tackle climate change in this latest book?
Well, the first two were coding and then robotics. And we had already started the meteorology book, so I was knee-deep in my research about weather. And we had also already done a book called Green Energy, which is about the actual process of where greenhouse gases come from and why the Earth's temperature is getting warmer. So it just felt like the next logical book to tackle, because it is such a hot, no pun intended, it is such a popular topic right now, and kids are learning about it in school, and it's being discussed on the news all the time. So it just seemed like the next logical topic to choose.
And as you mentioned, this series is aging up from the board book series. So for what age is this intended?
This is intended for kindergarten through third grade. It's like an early elementary age. So a kindergartner obviously would have an adult reading it to them, but second grade, third grade, fourth grade would be able to read it on their own.
Well, I want to talk more about what readers can find in this book in just a moment, but would you read a portion of the book for us to give us a sample of what readers are going to find here?
Yes, absolutely. Some grown-ups may think that weather is the same as climate, but it's not. Here's how to explain the difference. Weather is what the conditions outside are like at a specific time and place. This includes temperature, wind, and precipitation, such as rain, snow, or hail. Climate is the overall pattern of weather over a long time. Some places are warm and sunny, others are cold and snowy. And then we have a pro tip on the page, and it says, sometimes scientific words can be confusing. Make sure your grown-up understands them before moving on.
Yeah, I like those little pro tips that you sprinkle throughout the book. It's interesting because, as you pointed out, the book kind of becomes a character that speaks directly to the child and gives the child hints about how to, explain this to the grown-up.
Yes, and my inspiration for handling it in this way is kids love to be able to be the expert in something. And when I do school visits and I say, what are you an expert in? They all raise their hands, and one will say Legos or video games or gymnastics or art. And, we all know that young child who is able to rattle off the names of all of the dinosaurs or all the names of the presidents. And so I enjoy giving children that empowerment to own whatever it is that they're passionate about, and then share that passion with others, whether it's a friend at school or a grown-up in their life.
Ruth, why was it important to you, and why do you think it's important to introduce kids at such an early age to these science topics?
So my feeling is that I'm not necessarily trying to teach children science. What I'm hoping to do is help them see that science is all around us. When we go outside and we watch a bird fly, or when we're dropping a ball and it falls to the ground and we see gravity in action, science is all around us. And so what I hope to do is just instill that sense of curiosity and wonder, and encourage children to ask questions about everything around them, and then find a book and discover the answer to it. And hopefully grown-ups, parents, caregivers, educators will be doing that right along with the children and with my readers. But I just want to encourage that sense of curiosity and help them see that science it's not a topic that just scientists study, but it's something that explains so much of the world around us, and just to be curious.
And for younger kids, the book is going to be read to them by adults. So do you keep that adult audience in mind as well as you're creating your books?
Absolutely. And it's fun because so many parents will say that they enjoy reading these books because they feel like they're learning something too. And I think that's really important to think about, because a lot of times children will have questions and parents may not know the answer to it. And I think it's great to just model that curiosity and to say, you know what, I'm really not sure, but let's find a book at the library and let's look it up and try to find out the answers together. So I think parents do enjoy reading these books as well because they feel like they're learning a little something too.
I'm talking with Ruth Spiro about how to explain climate science to a grown-up, and our conversation continues in a moment. If you're enjoying this discussion, please subscribe, like, and click on the bell so you know when I post new interviews. And thank you. Well, these books not only explain the issue in, easy-to-understand language, it also offers action items that the adults and kids can do together to help.
Yes. And I felt that was important because in my research, I learned that while we're trying to make our children have or trying to impart climate literacy, it's also spawning a little bit of climate anxiety in many children. And they're getting a little nervous. And sometimes they're afraid of some of the things that they're hearing because they think that these consequences of global warming and climate change are imminent. And while obviously we are seeing all the, many changes that are occurring around us all the time, I thought it was really important to not promote that anxiety for children. And one of the techniques that I read about is to present the problem, but then also at the same time present a possible solution and show that even though there is a problem, there are things that we can do and there is a path forward. And I'd like to present more of a hopeful and optimistic viewpoint that, yes, we have these problems that we need to deal with, but there are different things that each of us can do to work toward solving this problem together.
And for those who want more information, you have back matter in this book. Tell us about what they'll find there.
Yeah, so in the back, excuse me, there's a glossary that explains all of the words that are relevant to the topic that they may not have heard. And there's also what I thought would be a fun activity, which is to make a list and post it somewhere of what are your favorite things about Earth. For in the book, it shows the grown up and the kid made their own list, and they have dolphins and penguins and birthday cake and cherry blossoms. And again, we have the optimism of some things that we love about our planet that we live on and things that we have available to us. And it sort of gives us an inspiration for we want to maintain these things. We want to save these things. So we need to take some actions to help solve the problem. And then there are some lists. There's a list in the back that says ways you and your grown-up can take action today. And it's broken down into things we can do at home, like using less plastic and joining a citizen science project, things we can do at school, such as encouraging our classmates to reduce waste at lunchtime, planting trees, and then other things we can do in the community, like starting or joining a community garden, asking your government to plant more trees, and looking for ways to reduce waste, such as through a Buy Nothing group or a repair cafe. And so there are different ways that we can take action, both at home and at school and in our community. And again, I'm leaving the reader with some optimism that there are things that they can do to help solve these problems.
And that speaks to my next question, because you've answered this already in different ways, but what would you say is the key insight or the key takeaway for readers of this book?
I think you're right. I think I have answered this. And to me, I think the key takeaway is that we do have this problem. It is documented by science, and we need to do something about it. And fortunately, it's not too late. There are some solutions there. If we all start taking some actions, and we don't all have to do the same thing, we can each do different things, things that we believe in, things that we even enjoy, like starting a community garden. So based on what we like to do and things that are important to us, we can all take some kind of action and work together to move forward and try to solve this problem that we're all seeing the consequences of.
This is an illustrated book. Obviously, it's a picture book. What can you tell us about the illustrations?
Well, I thank you for asking that, because I think it's very important to always acknowledge the illustrators of my books. And these books are illustrated by Teresa Martinez, and she has done an absolutely incredible job in illustrating some very complex diagrams and scenes in the book. The illustrations really add so much. And, I'm often asked if I have control over the art or if I give very specific art directions, but I don't, because the illustrators, they're experts in what they do, and they bring so much more to the book than I could ever imagine. And so I do get to see the sketches along the way. And I should also mention that in all of my books, that both the text and the illustrations are reviewed by experts, because we want to make sure that everything is 100% accurate. And we want to make sure that both the text is accurate and the illustrations. And it's very apparent that Teresa does a lot of research on her own to make sure that everything is accurate and it looks just right. But they're fun and they're engaging and they really draw the reader in. So I think she's done an incredible job.
Well, this is a fun and informative book. It's the third in this series. Are we going to see more how to explain books in the future?
Yes. So there's one more, and I just saw the art for it, and it's going to be fabulous. Okay, I will announce it here. It's How to Explain Aerospace Engineering to a Grown-Up, and it's all about things that fly. And so I'm really excited for that. And then there's also going to be another Baby Love Science book coming out at the same time, and that one is robotics. So that's the only one that we've done in the opposite format, where there was not originally a Baby Love Science board book. We started with the picture book, and now we're going back and making a board book to go along with it.
The picture book is How to Explain Climate Science to a Grown-Up by Ruth Spiro. Ruth, thank you for talking with me today.
Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed our conversation and the opportunity to share my books with you.
If you'd like to purchase How to Explain Climate Science to a Grown-Up, I've placed a link for you in the description below. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, like, and click on the bell so you know when I post new interviews. Meanwhile, here are 2 more books you might find interesting. I'm Dan Skinner. Until next time, keep sharing the gift of reading.